everyone, welcome to Nubere. I'm Monique and today we're going to add a little butterfly to our Kaleidoscope project. Now personally I have a bit of a love-hate relationship with beads. I love everything we get from a bead. The colour, the added dimension, the texture, sometimes a little bit of sparkle. I'm just not the most patient person in the world, so the winding and the unwinding of the shuttle does tend to drive me a little bit bonkers. But our butterflies are only small, so I'm sure we can manage. I'm including a small segment at the start of every butterfly video about tying your antenna. So if you've seen it in a previous video, you can just scoot through to the working section of this butterfly. There are timestamps along the bottom for you to be able to do that. Okay, we are about to meet Charlotte. Charlotte has beaded picots, so to work Charlotte you're going to need a shuttle and 32 seed beads. The pattern can be found in the description box down below, but I'm also going to pop it in the timeline of the video. Let's go! Before we start any tatting, I'm going to show you two different ways we can tie our antenna. Now that might seem a little weird since we don't have any butterflies yet, but I want to show you this first up because the way we tie the antenna will determine how much thread we need to leave for the tail. If you don't have a lot of thread, you won't want to be excessive with your antenna knots. You might finish up a shuttle with just enough for your butterfly. If that's the case, a small single wrap knot will work well. We're going to pretend that I've got a butterfly back here. I'm just going to tie a loose knot on each side. Tape my butterfly to the table, holding the end of the thread with your finger. Use something like a toothpick or tapestry needle. I'm going to use my little wooden spike. Place that into the middle of the knot. Now we can position our knot wherever we want it to be. By doing the same thing with the other side, again our spike allows us to position the knot exactly where we want it. So we're able to make our antenna knots nice and even. If you have a little more thread to play with, pass the end through the eye of a needle without splitting the ply is ideal. Hold the thread in your left hand about 10, maybe 12 centimeters back from the needle. Again, we have our imaginary butterfly back here, holding the needle by its tip. Back it up so you can pinch the eye of the needle and the thread together. Take hold of the thread. I haven't got enough there. Take hold of the thread from above the needle, not the one down here. We want the thread from the top. Wrap your needle 3 times and then slide those wraps down along the needle, snug them together. This thread comes into the pinch. So if I can show you without losing the lot, that's what we have. Holding the wraps between your fingers, pull your needle through. We have a 3-wrapped knot. Just gives a little bit more bulk to the knot for our antenna. So the antenna you decide to use will dictate how much thread you need, or rather the amount of thread you have will dictate which antenna you can use. Charlotte. I'm using seed beads today, but you can work it with whatever beads you like. You'll need to load the beads onto your shuttle before you begin working. If you're using different sized beads, different colours, or maybe you're mixing different types of beads together, make sure you load them in reverse order as to how you're going to need them. This is the way they're going to come off the shuttle. Your last bead needs to go on first so that it can come off last. I hope I haven't confused anyone with that. Now I like to stagger my beads as I load them. I'm hoping to minimise the amount of winding and unwinding I have to do between working stitches and letting down beads. As we start our butterfly, I want to show you another way we can try to limit the amount of winding and unwinding we have to do. Now I've taken a fair bit of thread from my shuttle. It'd be about, I reckon it's about 50, maybe 60 centimetres. The beads that I need for the first wing are towards the front. The rest of the beads are on my shuttle. Leave a decent tail. This will become our antenna later, so we don't want it too short. To start ring A, wrap your hand for a ring, making sure the beads are on your loop thread. We want them at the back of our hand. Holding your thread in the pinch, pull the extra shuttle thread through, just like we're opening our ring. When your shuttle's at a workable length, wrap your hand as if we're making a chain. Just let the excess thread drop down below. We're working 12 double stitches. We're going to make our first picot. Take the thread off your pinky, slide up the beads that you want for your picot, rewrap your pinky, work a picot and 2 double stitches. Repeating what we just did, release the pinky, slide up the next lot of beads, rewrap your pinky, work picot and 2 double stitches. Last picot is the same. Release pinky, slide the beads up, rewrap, working our beaded picot, and continuing with 8. We have a joining picot and 4. Now as you start to run out of thread, take the loop off your hand and we're back to our normal ring setup. We've managed to make our first ring without having to touch the beads on our shuttle. Turning our ring slightly to the left to start ring B. Bring the next lot of beads down onto the thread. Wrap your hand for the ring with the beads at the back of your hand. We're working 4. Joining back to ring A. We have 6. Slide the beads up from the back of your hand. Work a beaded picot with 8 adjoining picot and 2. Slide the next lot of beads down, ready for ring C. I'm just going to push these ones a little further back so they don't come down onto my work. Again, the beads at the back of my hand. We are working 2. Turn back to ring B. Continuing with 8. Our beaded picot. And then 6 joining picot and 4. For ring D, slide the next lot of beads into place. We're working 4. Joining back to ring C. We have 8 beaded picot and 2. Beaded picot and 2. And last beaded picot and 12. Turning Charlotte to the back once we've cut our threads. We're doing the square knot and tying our antenna. By holding my antenna about where I want my knot to be, placing my needle at the back and wrapping it. Where my thumb is where the knot will stop.
So knowing that, I've got a pretty good guess of being able to get my knots even. Place them together. Of course it's tangled on my beads.
And that is Charlotte. Once again, I hope you've enjoyed making Charlotte as much as I have, and I will see you next time. Bye.